Hey everyone, welcome to Storyteller's Handbook, and today we're going to talk about how you can hold auditions, part 1. Hey everyone, Joelle Brown here, author, actress, director. I have a BFA in Theatre and Drama Studies from a Conservatory University program and over 10 years experience in theatre. I am also currently writing my debut novel, The Refining. Auditions are one of my favorite parts of the production process. It may seem daunting at first, but I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do it. The first thing you're going to prepare is your casting. You want to create a list of all your characters and have all the details for each character ready to go. The age, ethnicity, gender, any specific traits, accents, or skills. You need to do a character description for each character. Now, this character description is especially important if you're doing a show that is not as well known or a show that you've written yourself, because actors coming in are not going to know who this character is and whether this is the type of character they would like to play. The other thing that's really important to list for each character are any disclaimer. Does the character need to appear in their underwear, semi-nude, nude? Does the character smoke, do drugs on stage, attempt suicide on stage, hold or fire a gun? All of these things are important for the actors to know when they're auditioning. That is not something you want to spring on an actor at the last minute. If they are not comfortable with that, it's not going to look professional on your part and they may just leave the production and then you have to cast all over again. So once you have your character breakdown for each character, the next thing you have to figure out is your timeline. You have to figure out when are you actually putting on this show and when are you starting rehearsals. Now, before you start rehearsals, you're going to have your first read through. This is something I've talked about before. Your first read through is when all of the actors and your stage manager, and sometimes you can invite other department heads, you have everybody in the room together. Everyone gets their script for the first time. You may choose to give it to the actors ahead of time. That's up to you. But this is the first time everyone's meeting. It's a meet and greet, and it's also an opportunity for you to hear the actors speak the lines of the characters in their own voice for the first time. I suggest your auditions be 2 weeks before this first read-through date. Now, this gives you enough time that if at the auditions you either don't find everybody you need and have to do a second round of auditions, or have an outpouring of talent and need a second round of auditions, which is called a callback, to narrow things down, you have another week to do that. Now, you need to know when your first read-through date is, but you also need to know when your rehearsals are going to be. You need to know where your rehearsals are going to be, at least in the approximate vicinity, and you need to know how long the rehearsal process is going to be. These are things you have to advertise with your casting call. When you are telling actors that you're doing this play, when you announce that you're doing this show, you need to be able to say that rehearsals are going to be twice a week or 4 times a week. Rehearsals are going to be on Mondays and Saturdays, or rehearsals are going to be on Thursdays and Fridays, so that actors know if the rehearsal schedule that you are proposing completely clashes with their schedule, they're not even going to waste their time or your time auditioning. This is important information. You're going to post this when you are advertising for your auditions, but you are also going to reaffirm this in the audition room and reaffirm this in the audition interview. We'll get to that later. You need to have your rehearsal dates and your performance dates when you are promoting the show. If they're going to be out of the country, not available, no point in wasting your time or their time. Next, you need to know where you're hosting these auditions and when they're going to be. You're not just going to advertise auditions and people don't know what day, what time, and where. So that's very important. Make sure that you know that before you start advertising. Now, what you're going to want to do is decide if it's going to be an open call or if it's going to be a scheduled audition. Now, the difference is an open call says, we're doing auditions from this time to this time, show up, first come, first serve. A scheduled audition is when you assign specific time slots to each person. They show up at their time slot to audition. There are pros and cons with both. What can happen is when you give people the option to schedule a time slot, you may have 1 hour with 10 auditions, then a 2-hour gap, then 1 audition, and then a 2-hour gap, and then 10 auditions at the end of the day. Rarely does it go exactly the way you've planned out. So what I usually do is an open call. I'll email back who I want to come to the audition. Now, I will clearly state, this is an open call. Come anytime between this time and this time, and I will block in myself like a lunch or a break. So I'll say between this time and this time, or this time and this time. And I will say first come, first serve. And if you are in a hurry when you arrive, let us know so we can see you first. Now, before you start advertising for your auditions, another thing you need to decide is what type of audition you will hold. Do you want your actors who are coming to prepare a monologue? So you have to clarify contemporary or classical, comedic or dramatic, and also the length. And so you have to be clear of what you want at your audition. Cold sides are a part of your script that you've chosen for the actors to come in and read so that you can see if they're a good fit for that character. Usually it's a part of a scene that really shows the personality of the character, so you get a good feel for whether this actor is a fit for this character. You also have to decide, are you going to do an interview process as part of the audition? I always do an interview process because sometimes you get new actors and their audition may not be strong, but when you talk to them in person, you see the passion really come through. Or sometimes you have actors who come in with a brilliant audition and then you sit down to talk to them and you realize, I don't think this is going to be a good fit just based on personality differences. Now, when you're doing the confirmation, you want to include all of these extra things that we've talked about. So you might say something like, please arrive 10 minutes before your time to fill out an audition form, and please allow up to 15 minutes after your audition time to possibly read some sides and for a short interview. Because the actor will know that their audition will take up maybe about 5 to 6 minutes. They're going to need to know that they're needed for 30 minutes instead of 6. So that's something you just want to let them know when you confirm that they are going to be coming to the audition. Well, that's it for part 1 of how to hold your own audition. If you like this content, please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell. And please comment below. Thanks everyone. See you next time.